refreshing, interactive, and a whole new vibe. It's the new season of the Captain's Corner with Harold Lovell, political leader of the United Progressive Party. A refreshing and interactive program highlighting current issues affecting everyone in Antigua and media forums, and be a part of the conversation. It's the Captain's Corner, bringing light and truth.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Captain's Corner. Yes, it's been a while since we've been on the corner, but we are back. And I'm Sean Nicholas, and of course, Captain Harold Lovell is in the house. But before you say goodnight, allow me to use the opportunity to say a very special welcome to all our listeners on Progressive 107.3 FM, also on Observer Radio 91.1 FM. For those of you who are joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, we say welcome. And of course, we invite you to share the live. Invite your friends, families, co-workers, everyone to be part of the Captain's Corner for tonight. Of course, we invite you to join us in the conversation a little later on, whether it's via our WhatsApp number, which is 789-1073, or you can send us a message via Facebook, and most definitely we'll have the captain pass that or address your various concerns and your questions. So, Captain, good night.
Good night, good night.
Good night, good night, good night.
I have a good feeling tonight's going to be a good night.
Very good, very good. It's been quite a while since we've been here. A lot would have happened since then. Let's recap quickly. UPP for the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay, well, since we were last here, 2 weeks ago, we had the rally over at Thwaites Corner.
Yes.
That was very good. A lot of energy, good interaction. That was excellent. And everybody is now crying for another rally. So that was the rally last week, week before last, Thursday.
Yes.
And then on the Saturday, we were out in Willie Keys and the whole St. Philip's North constituency for pull-up in support of our brother Alex. And that also went very, very well. I was really surprised because, you know, Willie Keys, they say traditionally supposed to be a Labour stronghold. But I'm telling you, Alex is doing very, very well over in St. Philip's North. And Willie Keys was very receptive to our message. A lot of the small business people were very happy. And I certainly was very happy to be out there in St. Philip's North. And then last week, Thursday, what did we do last week, Thursday?
No, last week we didn't have a program.
Oh, no, we didn't have a program last week.
Yes, I know you're getting ahead. Yes, so many
but then Saturday.
Yes, Saturday.
Yeah, we were in Rural West. In Rural West, when we were there to support Brother Richard Lewis with another pull-up. That was very extensive, but very good. The number of business places, small business places that we were able to tap into and to spread a little love, a little joy, spend a few dollars, all in support of the small business sector in Antigua. And this is a way to bring that message out, how important the small business sector is for economy, and where the UPP will be putting its emphasis. Once elected, we will seek to energize the small business sector. And so that was on Saturday.
Yes.
So it's...
So the party has been busy.
Right,
and
busy. Sunday we were in Bolan's.
Ah, yes.
We were in Bolan's on Sunday. So really, the party over the last 2.5 years has really been out there, touching flesh, listening to people, going into constituencies, linking with people on the block. You know, we have the youth forum, the progressive youth.
Yes, we'll talk about that a little later. That's coming up, yes.
So all of that, you know, the party, as you say, we have been on the road and we're definitely on the move.
But at a time when the clock is definitely ticking in terms of us getting to the next general elections, the party is definitely readying itself that whenever the date is announced, that we are ready
Oh,
to
yes.
say here we
And,
are.
you know,
Yes.
we have been able to, basically, we can dance the soca, we can dance the waltz, whatever you use, we've been using a variety of means to reach people. And, you know, the whole issue of next week, Upliftment Week.
Yes.
I think it's important that we mention that next week is going to be Upliftment Week, starting on Sunday. And on Sunday, we're going to have a dynamic youth forum. We have some wonderful young people
Yes.
in the party. And so they'll be taking the lead on Sunday at the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union in the conference hall. We will be gathering with our young folks and definitely exploring all the issues that affect the nation, and in particular the impact these issues have on young people. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's on Sunday. And on Thursday, we're going to have the fitness jam. Well, you know, and this is to promote the whole concept of good health, attacking non-communicable diseases like diabetes and heart attack and, heart problems and so hypertension. These are some of the issues that we really want to be able to touch on so that we promote the whole idea of good health and healthy living. So this is our way of really making that point and having fun at the same time. Of course, on Friday, we will start off with laying wreaths at the, you know, for a really very half-hearted way in which the Labour Party celebrated the day that they called out as National Heroes Day. Most people didn't even know that it was National Heroes Day. And
It was just another event on that day.
It was just another day. They pay no attention to the significance of our national heroes. They only pay lip service. And I can assure the nation that a UPP administration will really give National Heroes Day the significance that it deserves. And so on that day, the 9th, we begin with the wreath laying ceremony at all the various points. And then we get into the massive food fair and pork fest.
Grand time.
A grand time. So that's something for us to look forward to. And wow, I can hardly wait. You know, all the various varieties in which our people culturally prepare pork, and in very enjoyable ways. Very Caribbean, very Antiguan and Barbudan. So that's as far as Friday.
And if I could just give a plug, since you're on the Pork Fest, for those who are following, it's Friday from midday, Friday the 9th, from midday until 6 p.m. I mean, we might go a little later, but we have a cutoff point, and it's at the Rising Sun grounds.
Right.
So we'll see you there. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And then, of course, the Saturday, we're going to have the grand finale for our pull-ups, at least for the first round.
Yes.
We're going to have the grand finale out in St. Philip South. We haven't touched St. Philip South yet. So we'll be going out to St. Philip South on Saturday, giving our support to Brother Sherfield Bowen. And we expect that this is going to be a really big one. And so we're moving to have a really big end to the first session out in St. Philip South. I think we're going to end up in Bethesda. I think it's Bethesda. Yes, but we'll confirm that. However, it will be in the constituency of St. Philip South. And it's going to be a big affair. So it's a lot to look forward to. We've been very busy. You look at, as I said, the last few weeks and going forward. And then, of course, and I just want to let persons know, our public rallies will be coming back.
Yes.
So look out for that. We will be announcing a schedule of public rallies very soon. So gear up, get your T-shirts ready, and get ready to rally with the United Progressive Party. So I'm really excited, looking forward to the next few weeks. And hey, the election will be held very soon, come what may. And I just want to say the UPP, we're ready to take the governance of this country and really ready to redeem Antigua and Barbuda and bring relief to the people and to rescue this nation from the clutches of the
New, refreshing, interactive, and a whole new vibe.
Very, very good. But before we get into one of our main topics for this evening, as you mentioned, St. Philip's North. Let us remember our dear brother Alex, who is mourning the loss of his wife, and also Sister Gladys, who is mourning the loss of a brother.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And, you know, we just want to say to Brother Alex that, you know, we're there for him. And we're going to work things out and make sure that all is well as far as the party is concerned and whatever can be done. So, Brother Alex, we just want to say to you, you do not walk alone.
Yeah.
And I want to give you that assurance, you do not walk alone. And at the same time, Sister Gladys, she lost her brother quite recently. And so, again, very sad, but we just want to let both Gladys and Alex know that neither of them, they walk alone.
Yes.
Do they walk alone?
Okay. Okay, very good. And of course, on behalf of the entire party, we send our condolences to both candidates and their respective families. Yes. Okay, so tonight I want us to focus a little bit on the whole issue of cost of living. Minimum wage, we had an announcement last week, and of course the whole situation of jobs in Antigua and Barbuda. But let's start off with the whole issue of cost of living. I know that persons would say that the rise in cost of living has been determined somewhat by external factors. But we have seen other Caribbean countries and even further afield where governments are making efforts to soften the blow as it relates to residents. In Antigua and Barbuda, the cry has always been that not enough, if anything at all, is being done to soften the blow where the rise in cost of living is concerned. And of course, those who earn less are the ones who are suffering most. Let us start with the whole issue of cost of living and bringing it under some level of control here in Antigua and Barbuda.
Yeah, the fact is, I think everybody understands that the factors that are driving the increases in the prices are not local, they're external. And I think we all get that. You know, some people have said, you know, what you want us to do? You want us to go and stop the Ukraine war? Well, of course not. We understand that this is not an Antiguan problem, but what we are saying is there needs to be an Antiguan and Barbudan solution. Or at any rate, some effort to address this question of rising prices. Because look, people complain that when they're going to the supermarket, and it's not only the supermarkets, generally, prices are such that the small business sector has been badly impacted. I can speak to some persons I know who are involved in business, and especially the food business, where they have had to increase the price of their food. And by increasing the price of their food, then less people are buying, and it is really having a serious impact on a lot of the small eating places and so on. Now, government cannot just sit back and say, well, tough luck, is the Ukraine war, it's not our fault, we can't do it. That's an irresponsible and a reckless government that would allow its people and the way in which people are trying to make a living to just go down and suffer these hardships. We have to do something. And not only that, you look at what has happened in other countries.
Yes.
Those other islands around the Caribbean. In Dominica, for example, they intervened, the government intervened to reduce the cost of electricity so that at least you get a saving on electricity in order so that you can help to make ends meet. In Nevis, they also reduced the electricity prices. In Nevis, they were able to cut the fuel surcharge, which is similar to our fuel variation charge. But what they did in Nevis is that they cut their fuel surcharge. And in cutting the fuel surcharge, again, giving the people of the nation a little breathing space. So that's what they did in Dominica, cut electricity prices. In Nevis also, they cut electricity prices. In St. Lucia, they reduced the cost by 60%, the taxes. They cut taxes by 60% on essential food items. Now that's important because that's something that we've been calling on this government to do.
Yes.
And in St. Lucia, we see that they reduced the taxes on food imports by 60%. Now, in doing that, they again gave a breathing space so people can make it and at least give a little relief to people. In Grenada, they reduced customs duty and other taxes for 6 months on food and essential items that are imported into Grenada. But by doing that again, it's another thing that we said that ought to be done. Reduce the customs duty so that the prices on the supermarket shelves will not be as high. And then even in Barbados, they reduced taxes on food by up to 25%, reducing again the cost. Now, they also reduced electricity by 60%. Now, why is all of this so important? And how does it tie into what we've been saying? Now, when we have goods imported into the country, everybody knows you pay taxes.
Yes.
You pay duty, you pay the revenue recovery charge, and you pay the ABST. Our argument is, government is now collecting twice as much at the port because the prices that are coming in are twice as high. Because the prices are twice as high, government is collecting twice as much. Logic. If government is collecting twice as much, which is what we're seeing overall, government ought to cut the amount that they're taking because government is benefiting from these high prices. Government is benefiting from the inflation. But they're taking everything, passing on nothing to the consumers, to the people of this country who are suffering. What we are saying is, oh Lord, have a heart, be compassionate. If government is collecting twice as much, pass on something to the people so that people can survive, people can eat. You know, when we look at, you know, the cost of the various goods that we are saying, and, you know, we spoke about reducing cost on some of the cultural foods.
Yes.
You know, the things that go into a pepper pot and the things that go into the preparation of saltfish and seasoned rice and so on. Okay, some people say a lot of it is salty. And I go, okay, we take the point, no problem. But chunks, things like chunks, we have also said reduce the duty on things like chunks. When you do that for the vegetarians and the folks who don't eat meat, at least they, with their type of diet, will be able to get access to these foods at a cheaper price. But it's very important that we emphasize it is not good enough for a government to say nothing can be done.
Right.
You look at what's happening, as I said, Grenada, in Barbados, in Dominica, in Nevis, in St. Lucia, all of these other member states within the OECS, they've all intervened to help their people. Only the government of Antigua refuses to help its people by doing absolutely nothing. It's a wicked administration who are only concerned about how they can benefit. But when it comes to benefiting the people, nothing. And we must call them out for this, and we continue to say, bring some benefit and relief to the people of this nation. A UPP administration, we will reduce the duty on certain goods. We will remove the duty on certain essential food items, and we will reduce the duty on building materials. In doing so, not only will we reduce the price of food, but we will also reduce the price of building materials, making it more affordable for people to build their homes. Now, insofar as making sure that the benefit is passed on to the consumer, we have been very clear about this. We would mobilize the Prices and Consumer Affairs and other relevant agencies so that when the benefit is given at the port, it must be passed on at the shop level, the supermarket level, at the level where people are buying, especially now that Christmas is coming.
And that's the point I want to make, because by reducing, as the UPP is asking for it to be done, all on customs duty and all these other things, passing on the benefits to the consumer, it increases spending power and allows money to circulate within the economy. And I say that in the context of we're going into the Christmas season, people want to buy things to spruce up the homes, to treat family and friends, but there's less money to spend.
That's right. And so that's where we have to be looking at the whole problem. The problem of how do we make sure that we get cheaper food to our people. And that is the way that we see. We do not see it as something that's going to really affect the government coffers in a significant way, because government is collecting twice as much at the port. And all that we are saying is give some of that benefit to the people. That's all that we are saying.
And have you seen where that money is going, this increased revenue at the port?
Well, that's the
issue. Have you
issue.
seen where it is going?
Because the government is not an accountable government. They just ask for more money. They just keep asking for more money. But we're not seeing where this additional money is going. Consider that they've collected over their term over $11 billion. We never collected that much over our period. So they're boasting about doing this and doing that. But of course, they have the money to do it. And what is the money where's the money coming from? It's coming mainly from the CIP. We're the ones who introduced the CIP and paid the ultimate political price.
Yes.
Because they, in a hypocritical way, went and argued against it, marched against it, picketed against it, and then when the time came, they just hugged it up and they've benefited from it. But we're the ones who had the foresight. Because when people like Lennox Weston and Max Harrison so were out there marching and saying that we're not going to have the CIP program, soon as they won, man, they turned coat and immediately embraced it as the greatest thing that ever hit Antigua. So we know that we are on the right track. We've made the right decisions, decisions that affect people in a positive way, and which has made the economic fortunes of Antigua easier to navigate in terms of attracting ventures in investment and that sort of thing. Of course, they've made a mess of it, but that's a separate matter.
Yes. There was also, over the past week, the whole issue or the announcement of the increase in the minimum wage by a mere 80 cents. I know for some time you have been asking for attention to be given to this and to move it to a livable wage. Yeah. What's your reaction to the announcement of the new rate of increase for the minimum wage?
Well, our position is that the 80 cents is really inadequate. It's really, really inadequate. The rate of inflation since the last review until the present time has been something like 20%. Prices have gone up by over 20% between 2013 and the present time. Now, giving a 10% increase simply means that you're not putting people back even to where they were. We're not talking about improving anybody's standard of living and conditions of life. We're even worse off than we were in 2013. And that has to be addressed. But, you see, the argument is being framed in a way that leaves out the role that the government has played in pauperizing the business community and making it difficult for the business community to survive in a situation like this. So you hear the argument that the business community is arguing that increase above the 80 cents is going to lead to job losses and so on. Now, if we look at the situation as it is now, and we expect it to continue like under the Labour Party, where there's no support for the business sector, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is this: the government is largely responsible for the condition in which a lot of the businesses find themselves, where they're in problems, and where some have gone out of business. I keep on saying it, and I make it a point every program to bring it up. The government owes, I know, one security company, the one for Tavon Harriet, $4 million plus. Now, when you owe a business $4 million plus, that's just one. Yeah. And they owe everybody around the country. So a lot of businesses simply cannot stand on their feet, and they're choking because of the amount of money that this government, in a very wicked way, has just allowed to accumulate. When you look at the revenues for 2022, the amount that is owed to local vendors and suppliers, last year when they produced the accounts in the estimates, it was something like $25 million that was owed. And today, it is $163 million that is owed. So that money is what is keeping a lot of businesses from rising and getting ahead. So when you put the minimum wage, I understand why they would argue. But what we say now, what the country needs is a fresh start. And we've spoken about the Fresh Start Initiative. And this Fresh Start Initiative means that early in a UPP term, we will bring everybody together, all the people who are owed, and we're going to work out a plan with each of them. You see how it is now? How it is now, the government will owe you money, and you don't hear anything. You go to the Treasury, you try to get paid, they just tell you, not ready yet. You come back the following week, not ready yet. We have to put an end to that. Put an end to that. Not only is it disrespectful, it does not allow for a recovery of the business sector. And so we say what we would do is call everybody in. If, for example, the government owes a business place $100,000, for argument's sake, and you can't pay all one time because we're being realistic. But what you do, you set up a schedule and you say, look, we're going to pay you, let's say, half now. And then the balance we will pay you over a period of time. And over that period of time, we will pay you interest at a half yearly rate or quarterly rate or whatever rate we agree upon. But we give you something because that's money that you're losing, and we're going to pay you interest on the money in the meantime until we liquidate the full amount. So that way we're going to manage the repayment schedule of the funds that are owed to the local business sector, because that's very important. If we do not fix the problem with the local business sector, we cannot fix the problem with job creation. It has to be done. It has to be done whereby we help the business sector to recover. Government is the biggest player in the economy. Government is the biggest debtor in the economy, owing just about every business place in the island. That being the case, we have to get these businesses back on track by injecting money in so that that money can be turned around, that money can be reinvested, it can be used to employ persons, and then we will add incentives for businesses who employ more persons so that they help to absorb persons who are in need of a job. But government has to work with the private sector. And so part of our plan is a plan for what some people would call the social contract or the tripartite arrangement. Regularly meeting with the unions, the business community, and the government. Working problems out, seeing how things can be done differently, making sure that all can survive. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to fix this until we are able to get the business sector back on its feet. And we say we will do that with the Fresh Start Initiative, injecting money into the business community by paying these debts which are owed to persons in an organized, systematic way to revive the economy of Antigua and Barbuda. That's what the economy needs. Once you have money circulating in the economy, this is what this government doesn't understand. That's what gives it the lift. When we used to pay, when we're in government, once you pay, like on the weekend, everybody benefits because the money is spent immediately in all the different shops. The rum shop, well, let me not start with that. But the supermarket, the barber shop, all of the different shops, including the rum shop.
And including the church.
And of course,
Yes.
you know, definitely. So definitely you get money circulating in the economy. And that's what really needed now in Antigua. And that is the real problem. I look at a lot of the small eating places, and I see them suffering. They're suffering because people are not spending as much money. So what I was saying earlier ties into what I'm saying now in terms of spending power. And so with regard to the minimum wage must be replaced by a living wage. I understand why some people would be complaining about the difficulty, but they are assuming that things will continue under the Labour Party in a way that the business community is being stifled, where there is not a level playing field. Once we fix that, I assure everyone, we will be able to address the issue of a living wage. Now, to do that,
I'm going to ask that you hold that point. We're going to come back talking about the living wage, but we are due a break. We're going to take a commercial break, and I just want our listeners and our viewers to know that you can begin by sending in your questions. Remember, you can send it via WhatsApp, 789-1073. That's 268-789-1073. Or for those of you on the Facebook platform, you can send your questions via that medium as well. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we can continue the discussion on the livable wage. We'll be right back.
Calling all youth of Antigua and Barbuda. Your voice matters. Don't miss the Youth Public Forum at Freedom Hall, Lower Newgate Street this Sunday, December 4th. From 6 to 7 p.m., join the networking reception with DJ Ruthless. From 7 to 9:30 p.m., join influencer Jay Truth, the engineer, and attorney Shandira Codrington as they moderate the discussion. This is your opportunity to air your views and to ask important questions about the UPP's plans for youth development, housing, jobs, entrepreneurship, education, sports, and other issues. Your vote is your voice. Understand the power of your voice and how important it is for you to use it. Join us on My UPP Facebook page or on the My UPP YouTube channel. See you there.
Get your exercise outfits and come! It's the UPP Fitness Jam! We stretching, we strolling, we jogging, and yes, we jamming! From Pensioners Beach through Hatton, Green Bay, Grays Farm, on to Perry Bay Drive, and back to Pensioners for a big bonfire cool down session. The United Progressive Party and the Generation X Fitness Team promoting health and wellness. It's the UPP Fitness Jam. Thursday, 8 December, starting at 4 p.m. from Pensioners Beach through Hatton, Green Bay, Grays Farm, on to Perry Bay Drive, then back to Pensioners. Entertaining you on the road will be DJ Miguel, DJ Sniper, DJ Ruthless, and King Menace. We jamming, we jamming, we jamming! Non-stop with the UPP Fitness Jam! Oh, yes, jam!
Calling all food lovers. Calling all pork lovers. The United Progressive Party's Women's Forum is in the kitchen on Friday, December 9th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at the Rising Sun Ground. It's the Grand Time Food Fair combined with Pork Fest 2022. All your traditional favorites like fried fish, bullfoot soup, fungi with red herring, and the stuffed Johnny cake plus a fresh pasta station and local drinks. All specially prepared by your UPP branches. And there will be 100 pounds of pork every which way you like it. Jerk, stewed, sweet and sour, vinidalush, barbecue pigtail, aldong, trotters and beans, seasoned rice, plus, bring your appetite and bring your basket, because it's gonna be food can done. The UPP's Food Fair and the Pork Fest. It's going to be one grand one.
say welcome back to the Captain's Corner. Of course, Captain Harold Lovell is on the corner. And before we went to the break, we were talking about the whole issue of the minimum wage, whether or not the increase has been adequate. And Captain, you were on the issue of making it a livable wage.
Right, the whole thing about a living wage. We have to do a full study to see what is it in a basket that it takes to really live so that Antiguans and Barbudans don't have to suffer so much in terms of what the basic wage is. I already pointed out that the increase that has been given will put us worse off than even 2013. Now, what does it take to really survive in Antigua? That needs to be determined. And that needs to be determined by a proper study being done. And once we see where that line lies, then that has to be what we aim for as far as a living wage is concerned. So you have to do what's known as a poverty assessment. That way you understand how much it will take for a regular basket of goods, the regular grocery basket, and really treat our people with the dignity and respect that they deserve so that nobody is left behind as far as poverty is concerned. And then every 2 years there will be a review, because that's what the law says, that every 2 years there has to be a review. And so we review it so that it can be linked, index linked as they say, to inflation. So if inflation goes up by 2%, you have to move it by 2%. If inflation goes up by 1%, similarly. And make sure that you monitor that so that the increases will reflect the increases in the prices on the shop shelves and on the supermarket shelves. This is the way we have to go. And at the same time, to build and revitalize the economy so that more and more people can be employed, more and more people can be spending money, and we get things moving in this country. We must get the local business community up and running. And we have good people in business. We have good people in business who we know can really turn things around in this country. And our aim is to really make our business people, some people are struggling, we will provide the necessary incentive packages and assistance to the investment authority, hand-holding, making sure that people can succeed by having a mentorship program and really putting emphasis, not just allowing things to happen, but putting emphasis and being very deliberate in making sure that anybody who wants to make it, you do your best to help them to make it. And a point I've made also, we have to change the business culture. We have to change the business culture, and this will mean that we have to review some of the laws so that it's not so hard when you fail in business. Because business by its very nature means that you can make it or you can fail. But we stigmatize people who fail in business. Whereas business or entrepreneurship is all about risk. And once you take a risk, by definition, you might make it or you might not make it. We cannot allow our people to continue to be exposed in a way where you lose your children's college fund, you lose your house, you lose your mother-in-law's house and piece of land because you put it all in, hoping that you would have made it in business. And we have to protect persons who are not successful, provided it's not, of course, something that is completely fanciful and off the chain, so that it was foolishness to start with. But once persons engage in legitimate business endeavors, we have to find ways to help people to come back around, have another shot at it. Very few people who make it actually make it on the first shot. And so we need to allow persons to bounce back. You know, in some states in the United States of America, they have laws which protect, what they would say, they protect the homestead. So no matter what happens, when you go into business, if you fail, nobody can take away your house. There are other things that may have to be put up as collateral. But what we are arguing is that we would put up guarantees. That is a big part of our program, to help to put up guarantees so that everybody doesn't, a lot of people won't have the house and land or whatever to put up as collateral. And that's where a government guarantee will go a very long way in helping to save a business where things have gone really, really badly. And instead of exposing them to total collapse, there should be a guarantee that helps legitimate businesses that do not succeed.
Okay. Someone is asking via Facebook, what assessment did the ABLP use to get to the 80 cents increase?
Right, and that's the whole issue. It's all about guesswork, and that's why I said a UPP administration going forward. One of the first things we would do, we would commission a poverty assessment study, and in putting a poverty assessment study in place, you get to understand how much does it really cost to live in this country, and if this is what it costs, if it costs you, say, $1,500, $1,400, $2,000, whatever it is, then that has to be a starting point, or else you're going to condemn people to very serious poverty, which will in itself have implications for crime and for other things that people may be tempted into because things are so hard and things are so tough. But everything stems from getting the economy moving. And the trick to getting the economy moving is to really get the private sector back on its feet. And the way to get the private sector back on its feet, or one of the main ways, will be for government to pay the money that it owes the private sector and organize it in a systematic way so that people can plan, they can get their things going, and we will incentivize businesses that employ Antiguans and Barbudans and persons who are legally resident here, so that all of that can become part of the equation. More people earning money, more people spending money, everybody improving their standard of living and life.
Okay, there's so much more to talk about, and let's see how much we can get through in the time that we have remaining on this program. One of the things that I want to, for us to discuss is the whole issue of what's left of the DNA, the further integration of the DNA, and the fact that they are saying that UPP operatives are seeking to destroy the DNA. I would like to hear your...
Yeah, it's a sad case, really, I have I've really not had much to say about the DNA. I have watched, obviously, I see what's happening, and I listen. And when first of all, you listen to, or you hear the letter that was written by Bruce Goodwin and Malika Parker, and you see that is a serious indictment on what has really become a charade. Really just a group of persons who are determined that the UPP should not win. And that's basically what they are there to do. And then I listened to what Gatesworth James had to say. And similarly, he too said, he can't continue in this sort of situation. And more recently, there was Mr. Sylvester Brown, who was on the radio. And again, he left earlier, but for the same reason, that this organization had really lost its way. And he realized that this is nothing more than, I think he said, a splinter of the Antigua Labour Party. And that's really what they have become, just an arm of the Antigua Labour Party. And spewing lies, that is the part that I hate.
There's also Dalso, Kelton.
Oh, yes, of course. And, well, Dalso laid it out for everybody to hear and see that this organization really has lost its way and is really only interested in one thing, and that is attacking the UPP, hoping that the UPP will lose the election. That is the only thing that they are really interested in. And that means people must be aware of that. Aware and beware that this organization is really not about really trying to do anything for the betterment of Antigua and Barbuda. It's just to make sure that the UPP loses. And we have to ask ourselves the question, are they being paid by the Antigua Labour Party? That's a legitimate question I think every Antiguan and Barbudan must be asking. Are these people being paid just to be spoilers and to block any chance of the UPP. But I think that the persons who have left, Mr. Dalso, Mr. Goodwin, Ms. Parker, and Mr. James, those who have left recently, in addition to Mr. Sylvester Brown and Mrs. Joan Brown, all of them are saying exactly the same thing. Look, we have a country that is in crisis, and we need to deal with that in a very serious way. And so, as far as we're concerned, the lies that they're going out there with must be rejected, must be completely tossed out of the window. One lie, for example, people like Trevor Young. I try not to give these people any oxygen by even talking about them. But the sort of lies that they go out there and spew. One of the lies that he's been out there talking about, saying that we came and made him give up his job as a police officer, and then we didn't select him, making it seem as though we came for him, which is the exact opposite. What really happened, and I have the letter here, I came across it, it's a letter dated the 10th of August 2015. It was Trevor Young who came to me with this letter, and I told him what to do. The letter is addressed to the chairperson of the Rural East branch. And this letter, which he wrote on the 10th of August 2015, this is his pitch, where he is saying, I would love to be your candidate.
Selling himself to
He
the
came
party.
selling himself.
Yeah.
Look, you hear him say now that, I was the driver for Baldwin Spencer, and I know everything, and I know all the secrets and all the rest. Nonsense. Let me tell you the first paragraph of this letter. He says, I write to you, this is to the chairperson
Of the branch. Yes.
I write to you and the United Progressive Party members out of the unwavering love and admiration I have for the United Progressive Party to be the candidate for the Rural East constituency. And then he says he's been the personal security for former Prime Minister Honorable Baldwin Spencer for 10 years. And during those 10 years, now listen, during those 10 years, I keenly observed the operations of the party and its membership. It therefore leaves me to conclude that the United Progressive Party is the party of choice in Antigua and Barbuda going forward.
That doesn't sound like somebody approached him and said, please come and join.
Not only that, he is talking now, saying that he was the driver, so he knows everything and he knows who should have gone. That's not what he's saying here.
Not at all.
In fact, he goes on to say that, here's the point. For several months, I have been contemplating my future in the Antigua and Barbuda Royal Police Force and also as a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda. He is the one who in his letter is saying, I have been contemplating my future. Now he's telling people that we come and force him to give up his job. He says, I am convinced I can make a valuable contribution in the political arena. He goes on, I am of the firm belief that the UPP should consider me as the candidate for any elections in the Rural East constituency. And he says now, if this request is honored by your branch, in other words, if you accept me, he offering himself,
Yes.
if you accept me, I will be willing to retire from the Antigua Barbuda Royal Police Force as soon as applicable. I will now outline the reasons why I should be the candidate. And he lists here 5 reasons why he should be the candidate. Police officer in the area, etc., etc. Look, the long and short of it is, you're hearing a lot of bitter people. You're hearing a lot of people who are spreading lies and are trying their very best to destroy the UPP, and I would say to destroy me, because a lot of their firepower is aimed at me as a leader.
Personal attacks.
A personal attack. But if you go through each one of them, you will see that they are in the DNA because they did not get what they wanted. Take Trevor Young, for example. If he had been selected to be the candidate in St. John's Rural East, he would be singing sweetly for the United Progressive Party today. You take Shaniel Imhoff, who was defeated in a primary in St. Peter. Had she been selected to be the candidate in St. Peter, she would be a happy camper, and she would be right there, up and up with the UPP. When you take Joan Messiah, the leader, had she been the leader of the UPP, or had she been allowed had she been remain in the party instead of undermining the party, had she just taken it easy, I'm telling you, maybe she would have been the leader right now, some people say. But that would have been the biggest mistake. You know what? I'm not going to say which one of them. But one of the 4 persons who left said to me, that would have been the biggest mistake the UPP could have made, to have made Joan Messiah the leader of the UPP. But you see, sometimes it takes time for things to come out.
Yes.
But we're now seeing it unfold. And it can't be coincidental that the persons in that party who are considered the most experienced, the persons who have some political acumen and capacity, you take somebody like Bruce Goodwin, who understands the issues and who was in many ways the intellectual force within the DNA. He's the one who wrote their policy papers. He's the one who was driving the party in terms of guiding some of their main policy prescriptions, most of which we had no problem with, most of which we had absolutely no problem with. He's gone, and he has, by the letter that was written, he said, good, he's gone. These people are not serious about government. You look at Malika, who also co-signed that letter, same thing. These are persons who were among the more respected members of the DNA. You go to Gateworth Jane, the general secretary or secretary general of that organization. So you lose in your chairman, you lose in your first vice president, you lose in your general secretary, and then also you lose your mobilization officer. These people can't all be wrong.
And then when you look at the percentage of persons who would have left with what remained for the size of the party.
Well, I think there were 10 persons who left, and I think either 6 or 7 have now gone. That must say something. So the whole idea when Joan Messiah orchestrated her departure from the United Progressive Party by constantly undermining and pushing the party in a way that the party appeared to be divided and that sort of thing. Something had to be done. And it is now clear that her intentions were to destroy the party from within. The way termites eat you out. Eventually, the idea was for the party to crumble, having basically eaten it out from within. So they know that they have absolutely no chance of winning any election. Their only aim is to prevent the United Progressive Party from winning the election. Even as we speak, they're over in St. John City East. And somebody just took a picture and sent the picture to me. And apart from the DNA platform speakers, there's no one there. Come on,
Not even the dogs in the
Look,
alley
I
came
think
out
they
of it,
said dog was barking because they're making too much noise. And I think that might have been the only response to that meeting, a barking dog. There was an old man sitting on an upside-down bucket with a stick. I think he walked away because eventually it was just nothing to listen to. But it goes to show you, they're going around just spewing a lot of lies and doing their very best to try to harm the United Progressive Party. But I thought it was important for me to deal with that, but it's not my intention to really spend much time on the DNA. But they've been out there, and just one last point I want to make. You had Mr. Stewart saying that UPP operatives want to harm Joan Messiah, and she must be careful about her physical security. All I can say is evil thinks as evil does. And if nothing has happened to anyone, we've always had peaceful disagreements. Nobody has ever tried to hurt anybody. Why is he planting this? Is it something that they plan to do and then blame on the UPP? Do they have some dastardly plan afoot? What are they planning? We must be very, very mindful that these hateful thoughts that are being spewed out by them don't just take them lightly, because he is trying to build up some sense of hatred so that people will begin to maybe respond in a way that could be detrimental. I just want to make it plain. We are in the business of ideas. We have always put out our ideas in a plain, clear way for the benefit of our people. And this nonsense that people like Stuart are coming up with, these are just ways to divert people's attention from the Antigua Labour Party so that they can be the center of attention, and their only aim is to try to harm the UPP whilst they're very comfortable with the Antigua Labour Party.
And on that note, we will take our final break, and then we'll be right back after this.
Calling all youth of Antigua and Barbuda. Your voice matters. Don't miss the Youth Public Forum at Freedom Hall, Lower Newgate Street this Sunday, December 4th. From 6 to 7 p.m., join the networking reception with DJ Ruthless. From 7 to 9:30 p.m., join influencer Jay Truth, the engineer, and attorney Shandira Codrington as they moderate the discussion. This is your opportunity to air your views and to ask important questions about the UPP's plans for youth development, housing, jobs, entrepreneurship, education, sports, and other issues. Your vote is your voice. Understand the power of your voice and how important it is for you to use it. Join us on My UPP Facebook page or on the My UPP YouTube channel. See you there.
And we say welcome back. We are going into our final half hour here on the Captain's Corner. But Harold, I want to say to you, or suggest to you, coming off from your last point, that you seem to be doing something right, or the party is doing something right, because we are seeing or hearing that the personal attacks against you have been increasing, and from no less a person than the Prime Minister. And the question is being asked as to the type of campaign that they tend to run. I was at a particular business establishment earlier this week, and one person said to me, it is unfortunate that the Prime Minister or anybody has to bring people down in order to elevate himself. I want for you to talk a little bit about those personal attacks and what it says, or it should say to people, about what the campaign of the Antigua Labour Party looks like.
No, normally a government campaigns on its performance.
Yeah.
Because if you have good performance, you can put up your performance and say, re-elect me because I've done a good job. That's the way the democracy works. When a government does not have any positive news, then they resort to dirty campaigning. Now, you look at this government's performance record, and it is a very poor record. A record of failures, a record of disappointments, a record of unkept promises. That is their record. So, two things normally drive voting behavior. It's either hope or hate.
Yeah.
Now, if you have goods to sell and you have a good performance record, then you can give people hope by saying, we've done a lot of good things and we can do even better things for you. But when you have nothing good to sell, then you resort to hate. That is what they're doing currently. And so you see the ridiculous poster trying to suggest that Gaston Brown is a strong leader and Harold Lovell is a weak leader. And obviously with a distorted picture and that type of thing, with the intention to create a negative perception of Harold Lovell.
Yeah.
Now, why do they have to do that? If you have so much to sell, if you're so good, I mean, you take, for example, whether it be a telecommunications company advertising or somebody advertising sugar cake, you don't have to say that sugar cake is sour for people to believe that your sugar cake is sweet. You have your sugar cake, sell your sugar cake. If you're a provider of internet services or whatever services, sell your services.
Yes.
Let people come to you. You don't have to say the other one is no good so that people will come to you. The point I'm making is they are obviously bankrupt of any serious ideas. All the things that we have put on the table, they jump on them. We're the ones who spoke about a minimum wage. They didn't know anything about minimum wage before. Then all of a sudden they jump up and they did minimum wage. We spoke about water, providing tanks, pumps,
Yes.
pipes, fittings, etc., to help people to get around this problem with no water. So you help people to set up their pumps and so on. We put that on the table. They came with just the tanks that were distributed or given to them as a gift, and they have distributed them in a very political way. They haven't said to people, like through a government agency, if you are in need, then you can come for a tank. It's not that. It's about if you're a friend, if you're family, if you're crony, if you are political, die-hard supporter, then you get it. This is wrong. What they're doing, it is wrong. No, everything that we have put on the table, they have tried to copy. And because they have nothing good to say to the people, they're now spreading hate against me personally, trying to decry me, denounce me, downhouse me, because he, as a midget, he, as an intellectual and political midget, he finds himself incapable of really winning the hearts and minds of the people. And in doing so, they have to now resort only to attacking me. Can you believe one big poster they've put up so far? And that one poster is dedicated to suggesting that he's strong, I am weak, and that they should not vote for me.
On the basis of that.
Right. Rather than these are the things that we have done. These are our accomplishments. And this is why you should vote for us. So we know we have them against the ropes. We have them on the run. We are going to win the next election. They do not have any new ideas, any answers for the problems that we have. The people are suffering, and we must be able to show the people, as we've been doing, that we have the plans, we have the policies to revive the economy, to bring agriculture to a point where it can be a main contributor to the economy of Antigua and Barbuda, bring the farmers together, help to encourage the formation of cooperatives, help to build a new business, more modern business culture. We have the ideas that we can really drive this economy, diversify the economy by bringing in new sectors. We have already articulated a vision for that. So for us, this election is about hope. This election is about showing the nation of Antigua and Barbuda what can be done, what can be achieved, what we as a people can rise to accomplish. That is where we are going. An election campaign that is based on hope. They're running an election campaign that's based on hate. And hate will not triumph over hope.
It might be a rhetorical question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. What has been the performance of the Antigua Labour Party for the last 8 years?
This is the big question. And we just need to go over it once again in terms of where they have not been able to attract any serious investment to this country. They have not been able to mobilize local capital. They have not put any legislation in place. They have not put any programs in place which will stimulate local investment, bringing groups together, helping people to combine, to build companies, corporations, etc. There's been none of that. Helping to make Antiguans and Barbudans masters by encouraging that type of investment, reaching out to all sectors of the society and bringing the country together. So in terms of any new investment to move the economy forward, either local investment or foreign direct investment, they have been very, very poor stewards. And the people can see that. No new construction of any meaningful private sector enterprises, no stimulation of local economic enterprises, just sufferation for everyone who is involved in any way in Antigua and Barbuda, and on level playing field, Some kisses go by favor. Some people make it, others are crushed. Government refuses to pay legitimate business people, causing people to go out of business. That's the reality. So insofar as that is concerned, it's a fail.
Yeah.
Insofar as the society is concerned, in terms of bringing our people together and making the country more united, stronger, more resilient as a people, really building a sense of patriotism and national pride, very little has been done. The country is going downhill as far as that is concerned.
Right.
We will revive that. When you look at the country, how dirty it is, the country is dirtier now than it has ever been before. They have not been able to control even the overgrown bush at the side of the roads. Yeah. And we've been experiencing drought over the years. So suppose we are having rain. What would happen? Is forest you would have at the side of the road. You'll see monkey climb tree at the side of the road. So the point is, they have failed the nation in every respect. In education, the real test came during the pandemic.
Yes.
How did we cope in terms of equipping our students with, whether it be laptops, tablets, whatever it was? How did we cope with the online challenges? Did we cope well or did we fare badly? We fared badly. The expensive e-book scheme, which seemed to have only benefited a few people, it did not benefit the many students in the schools. It was a failure. So all in all, I mean, and I could go on, in health, you hear them trumpeting, oh, they did this transplant or that transplant. Okay, we have no difficulty with that. Those are good things. But what about the basic stuff? What about the clinics? Have they been equipped? Have they been properly manned? Have they put nurses? How have the nurses been treated? The nurses haven't been treated well. The nurses have been treated with disrespect. And anybody will tell you, professions like nursing and teaching, yes, the money is important, and everybody knows that you need a living wage to survive in this country. So we're not arguing with that. But more important than money is respect.
Correct.
And I'm sure if we listen to the teachers, if we listen to the nurses, the thing that upsets them more than anything else is the way that they've been treated. They've been treated with absolute disrespect. All of that will change under a UPP administration. And we can assure all the nurses, and we want to assure also the police officers, because the police have also been terribly neglected. You have the police living in the worst conditions. The stations have been in terrible state. Then unless they made the fuss that they made, they would not have been moved out of those places. And so now they have them cramped up in uncomfortable surroundings and premises. All of that we will prioritize, and in our Fresh Start initiative, we will start by bringing all of these issues to the fore and dealing with them effectively.
No problem. All the indicators are showing that the general elections, they are nigh. Sometime in the past, the Prime Minister hinted of snap elections, that it will come as a thief in the night, he's going to get the opposition, catch us off guard. Is it a case now where the clock is ticking away and his back is against the wall, that he has to now act? Because it's no longer a snap election. We have run the course.
Yes, it's no longer a snap election.
Yes, we have run the course.
Right, it's no longer a snap election. It's more going to be a slap election because they're going to be so surprised with the answer that the people of Antigua and Barbuda are going to give them. It's going to be like a slap they're going to get from the people. Now, yes, we have heard all the things they've had to say. And when we look at Lennox West, we listened to him today talking about there was this audit that they're doing, and because we didn't have certain things that were audited. Now, he brings up this thing again about the romantic rhythms. He said that in Parliament.
Yeah.
And, you know, they keep bringing it up, but they know they can't bring anything to the public to say that there was any wrongdoing. I mean, a committee was set up. The minister had oversight, but the minister was not involved in the day-to-day run-ins. But I am willing, and I challenge them anytime they're ready. Bring the report, bring the figures, show people exactly what happened, and stop this thing where they hide behind a box and they keep shouting out, oh, romantic rhythms. Oh, they didn't have any audit. How could we have not had an audit for romantic rhythms? Of course it was audited. There's a director of audit.
Yes.
And it went through the regular process. It was audited, and he didn't come up with anything to say there was any wrongdoing by anyone.
But there's a question, if we could go back to that question about the audit, because someone did ask the question, Captain, what is this nonsense about Lennox Western having an audit team, and why? What's become of the audit department?
No, the
I
audit
think
department is still there, and that has performed the functions. We're not sure what exactly is being done by this audit team that they've set up. We certainly haven't seen the fruits of their labor, but you know, these are young Antiguans for the most part, so I have nothing bad to say about these persons who've been employed in that department. It's just that they try to use everything for politics. And all I'm saying to them is stop the lies saying that romantic rhythms was not audited. Of course it was audited. It was audited by the director of audit,
Yes.
Mr. Evanson. And so I just want to clear that.
Right.
And another thing that I wanted to clear was the issue, I see there's a question here. You want to read that question?
Okay, what are your thoughts on the bills? This came in via WhatsApp. What are your thoughts on the bills that were brought to and passed in Parliament today?
Okay. The one that I wanted to address first would be the issue of the scrutineers.
Yes.
And this is something that is long overdue. I have in fact, I support it because we have been calling for this. The Act didn't include it, and we recognized in time that this needs to be addressed in a very serious way. And I know that we have had an audience, well, not me personally,
Yes, we had a team.
but I know we had a team. We've had an audience with the Electoral Commission where we pointed out how important this would be. Now that most of the persons have reached a stage where they're ready to retire. In the initial phase, there wasn't that urgency
We also
because
had the Attorney General.
that's right. We didn't have so many people who were ready to retire. But as you say, we had an audience with the Attorney General, the UPP team had an audience with the Attorney General, had an audience with the Electoral Commission. And so providing security for the scrutineers is certainly something that we endorse, certainly something that is long overdue. And we just want to say to those persons who have been working as scrutineers on behalf of the United Progressive Party that we do appreciate the work that you've been doing, and we look forward to you continuing a good job. But at least now, whenever you're ready to retire, when you reach that stage in your life and you're ready to retire, at least you can retire with something that you know on a monthly basis you will be able to survive on. So we support the effort to provide a pension for the scrutineers. There were some other issues that they were raising, which, you know, but that was the main one.
Yes.
That was the main one.
I wanted to go back to the point when you were talking about the underperformance of the current administration. When it is that they can announce something that happens every year, almost, and I'm talking about the payment of salaries before Christmas. When that becomes headline news, it tells me that there is nothing really to report.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that we did regularly. That's something that we did regularly. When we're in office, we would pay just around the same time,
Yes.
around the 8th. In fact, some people had wanted us to pay earlier when we would do the ABST relief.
Yes.
And I want everybody to remember, I'm not blowing my trumpet,
Yeah.
but it was under Harold Lovell as finance minister that the ABST relief day was introduced. And they're claiming it almost as though they're giving people some sort of benefit that they thought up. This is something that we started. I was Minister of Finance at the time, and we are happy to see it continue because it is something that a lot of people look forward to, and it's win-win. It's win-win for the business sector because there's an increase in sales, and it's win-win for the consumer because you get a cheaper price. and the government gets an initial bump in ABST, even though in some cases it turns out to be revenue neutral.
Right.
But in the end, the government is happy once you have business activity taking place in the country and the government is not actually losing
Yes.
any money.
Okay, another question coming in via Facebook. What about Barbuda? And I believe this had to do with Parliament. What about Barbuda, the roads back pay owed for so long?
Well, you know, that is an issue that we have assured our brothers and sisters in Barbuda. That will be addressed by a UPP administration. The government is obviously using the leverage they have to spite the people of Barbuda because Barbuda refuses to bow down and worship them. So they're doing everything to try and spite the people of Barbuda. But we admire the resilience of our sister island, and we stand with them in solidarity where the government is going out of its way to victimize them, to starve them into submission, and to ridicule them at every opportunity. It's wrong. Just as they divide the island of Antigua, where there's so much hatred that they are stirring up against brother, sister against sister, etc. Similarly, they stir up hatred, Antigua versus Barbuda, Barbuda versus Antigua. All of these things need to be addressed properly, and a serious administration of the United Progressive Party, we will address those things. So I said to my brothers and sisters over there, let us continue to work hard, and let us work hard for this change, because a change is necessary in this country in order for us to really get things back on track with regard to the economy, pulling the society together, making our children, giving our children a more secure future.
And the Barbudans, I hope, would not forget when the Prime Minister made reference to say that he had only used them for the election, and then after that, you know, I don't know if you remember
Yes,
that.
yes,
when,
he was cuddling them or something,
cuddling them, yes, yes.
because he wanted their votes.
Yes.
Yes, I think there's another question.
Okay. Did Mr. Weston mention an audit of the Irma relief for Barbuda, including plywood donated?
That's a very good question. You know, I hope they audited
That's part
the
of the
Irma,
audit.
yes, the Irma
yes,
relief
yes.
money
Yes.
and the plywood donated.
Yes.
Because, you know, something that we're definitely going to investigate when the time comes is the building of that branch office in St. John City East.
Yes.
We want to know where the material came from. And we're calling on the MP for the area, tell us where the material came from. Tell us where the material came from. And I've asked the question many times. He has never answered. Did any of that material come from the Irma relief pile? Did he send a truck to pick up any relief material to build that branch office in City East? He needs to come clean and tell the people whether it's yes or no. And if it's no, tell us where he got it from. Show us the receipts of where he bought the lumber from, and tell us whether or not it is true what some people have been saying, that the material that was used to build that branch office actually was Irma material destined for Barbuda. He needs to come and tell people if that is so or not.
And there were also claims that generators that were intended for Barbuda under the Irma relief never. And the question is, if they came, where did?
I hope they audit that. So the audit
So there's a lot of
department-
work for the audit
There's
department-
a lot of work
audit
to the
team to do.
audit team. So I hope they've been auditing that.
But, you know, in all of this, and I know it's the election season, people will say a lot of things, but what can we take seriously from what the Labour Party has been saying to the people of Antigua and Barbuda?
No.
Especially at a time like now.
You listen to the Prime Minister on a Saturday, and he's just abusing people, the verbal abuse of the candidates of the United Progressive Party, making a lot of false accusations. Now, the point is, they have nothing to sell, and that is really the bottom line. They have nothing to sell, so the only thing they can sell is hate. And in hate, they look at each person and they have something hateful to say about them. Instead of focusing on the things that they think people ought to use as a signpost for their re-election, instead they're just spreading hate and doing their very best to undermine the candidacy of our candidates. Well, I mean, we've been around politics for a long time, so we understand that. So there will always be a mixture. But the point is, where's the good?
Yes.
What are they saying that is good? What are they saying that is good? Where are they pitching their tent and saying, we deserve another term? Can they point to Antigua is a tourist country? Can they point to any new tourist developments that they can say under the ALP, these are the things that happen? They will tell you Royalton. Everybody knows, it's a stock record now. Royalton came with Stephen Hunter under the United Progressive Party. They will want to claim Hodges Bay Club. Hodges Bay Club with Jeff Wellemeyer. Jeff Wellemeyer came to Antigua during my time. I'm the one who signed off all the paperwork so that Hodges Bay Club could be restarted after the first financial institution that they relied on went bankrupt. It was a bank from Iceland, and it went bankrupt during the global economic crisis. After that, they came back again with new financing. I'm the one who signed off on it. So if they talk about Royalton, tick UPP. If they talk about Hodges Bay, tick UPP. What else is there for them to show? Nothing. So as far as any meaningful projects coming to the country, capable of creating employment are concerned, they have really done extremely badly. They have nothing to show for it. As far as social protection of our people is concerned, all the social programs were started by the United Progressive Party. Again, they have nothing to point to, nothing that they can rely on. And if you talk about the achievement that they will obviously want to trumpet, they will say they brought the fourth landed campus to Antigua. But that's not a big project. One, they didn't have to build anything from scratch. There was a school there that had been organized through the United Progressive Party. They came and met something ready-made. Yeah. Suppose they had to do the hard work to do construction and all the rest. So they had nothing to do as far as that is concerned. Secondly, it was a project that was driven largely by the University of the West Indies. So this is not as though Antigua is starting a university and they have to start from scratch. This is a well-known brand that came to Antigua and who did most of the heavy lifting in getting the project going. So whilst everybody is celebrating that we have a campus here, the fact is they really didn't, that's not a real test of implementation capacity. And you know, I just want to say to people again, some people will be saying, oh, how are you bigging up Five Islands campus and UWI? Look, let us be very clear. Our issue was always location. Yes. And I want to make that very plain. And I still feel, and I go down to my dying day and say that our plan is a better plan, which would have been to use the old Air Force facility where we have 143 acres that government owns, 143 acres.
And universities require land.
And universities require land, space to expand. And it's in the vicinity of the Antigua and Barbuda Hospitality Training Institute. So you upgrade that into a degree conferring institute for the hospitality sector. We have the Antigua and Barbuda Institute of Technology. You make that into a first-rate technology teaching center. You have the American University of Antigua. We had the Gates Center right next door. And then you have 143 acres. It was just a question of retrofitting some of those buildings, and they would have saved money. It would have been a better option. But as I've said time and time again, that's water under the bridge. Yes. We've gone from that, but it's important that people understand. Our issue is not with the university. It is not with the University of the West Indies. Our issue was always location, location, location.
Time is running out on us. Business pull up this weekend?
Oh, yes. This weekend we're going to Rural East to support Brother Sean Bird in Rural East. So we're asking everyone to come out this Saturday for the small business pull-up, and we're going to be giving our support, as we always do, showing some love and giving some support to the small business sector in the St. John's Rural East constituency.
Yeah. A question just came in. I hope we have enough time for these addresses. Should Antiguans and Barbudans be concerned about OCIP funds? proper reports aren't being made, and with the recent news about FTX and a bank being sued by a depositor is causing nervousness. Can we quickly address that?
Yes, well, what we need to divide up that a bit.
Yes.
The FTX, that has to do with cryptocurrency.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with CIP.
Yes.
We need to watch that closely. We are looking at the developments as they unfold. We know it was incorporated here in Antigua. We know they had their business operations centered in the Bahamas, and a lot of the persons who have been hoodwinked in the United States of America. Now, we've seen from the Stanford example what can happen when people start to sue. We're just hoping that Antigua is not going to be, again, the center of any major lawsuit and major scandal where the Senate of the United States and other places, they try to get at Antigua because we were lax in the way we exercise our regulatory duties. The jury's still out. Let's see what happens. I don't want to make any comments that may be premature. And so I'm looking at that situation and will comment at the appropriate time once all the facts are available. Then as far as CIP funds are concerned, yes, of course, we do have a duty, well, we have a right to know how our funds are being utilized. And it's such a shame. You see this government, they've had the benefit of over $2 billion in CIP money. And where is that money? You know, you can't, they say a fool and his money are soon parted. And they, unfortunately, are the people who are running Antigua. And when you see that we never had the benefit of CIP money, they've had the benefit of CIP money. What have they done with it? Nothing. You can't point to anything to say there was a development program, there was a program for small business incubators, there was a small business, a program to help the elderly. They didn't say put aside anything so that when people are sick, even now, people are sick and they have to be having all sorts of fish fry and barbecue and so on. We need to make the CIP work for people. And what we will do and what we would have done had we been in government is that the money that comes into the National Development Fund, we would have put aside certain amount of those funds. For example, money for emergency relief and so on. When your house burned down, at least you know the CIP money is there to help you.
Okay. For the last 3 minutes we have, I'm giving the wrap-up sign. Our youth, the UPP, Progressive Youth, they shine this weekend with the Youth Forum.
Yes, I just want to give
the opportunity to give them a plug.
Want to give my full support to the Progressive Youth who will be having their Youth Forum on Sunday. We really want to encourage them to play a role in the development of our nation in terms of putting forward ideas, being concerned with what's happening around them. And I certainly will be there. And I encourage all who can come, those who are young and those who are young at heart, be there so that you can support our young people. It starts at 6 for the cocktail, and then the program itself starts at 7 and goes until 9:30 in the evening on Sunday. So let's all come out and give our support to the young people. Let's hear their ideas. Let's see how we can find ways to address their concerns and just listen to the voices of our young. Come on out.
And we must give kudos to the Progressive Youth and the leadership and the commitment and the drive in which they have in taking the message forward.
Absolutely. I can say the United Progressive Party and the nation of Antigua and Barbuda, both are in safe hands.
Yes. Okay. I've been given the wrap-up signals. I just want to say thank you very much, Harold Lovell, for being on the corner this evening on Captain's Corner. We also say thank you to our many listeners on Progressive 107.3 FM, also on Observer Radio 91.1 FM, those of you who joined us via Facebook or via YouTube. And everyone, we just want to say thank you so very much to the production team. Thanks for making it another enjoyable and successful evening. Until we come your way again next time, I'm Sean Nicholas saying goodbye.
Calling all youth of Antigua and Barbuda. Your voice matters. Don't miss the Youth Public Forum at Freedom Hall, Lower Newgate Street this Sunday, December 4th. From 6 to 7 p.m., join the networking reception with DJ Ruthless. From 7 to 9:30 p.m., join influencer Jay Truth, the engineer, and attorney Shandira Codrington as they moderate the discussion. This is your opportunity to air your views and to ask important questions about the UPP's plans for youth development, housing, jobs, entrepreneurship, education, sports, and other issues. Your vote is your voice. Understand the power of your voice and how important it is for you to use it. Join us on My UPP Facebook page or on the My UPP YouTube channel. See you there.
Get your exercise outfits and come! It's the UPP Fitness Jam! We stretching, we strolling, we jogging, and yes, we jamming! From Pensioners Beach through Hatton, Green Bay, Grays Farm, on to Perry Bay Drive, and back to Pensioners for a big bonfire cool down session. The United Progressive Party and the Generation X Fitness Team promoting health and wellness. It's the UPP Fitness Jam. Thursday, 8 December, starting at 4 p.m. from Pensioners Beach through Hatton, Green Bay, Grays Farm, on to Perry Bay Drive, then back to Pensioners.